Across the ancient world, one cluster of stars has been revered more than any other: the Pleiades. From the Greeks, who called them the Seven Sisters, to the Egyptians, who knew them as the Seven Hathors, to countless indigenous peoples across the Americas, Oceania, and Asia. The Pleiades are a universal constant in the myths of humanity. How is it that cultures separated by oceans, mountains, and millennia all place such profound importance on this tiny, shimmering patch of sky? Were they merely stargazers, inventing meaning in the heavens? Or were they remembering something older, something deeper? A memory passed down, not just through stories, but through blood. In ancient Greece, the Seven Sisters were said to be daughters of the Titan Atlas, pursued across the sky by Orion the Hunter. Among the Kiowa people of North America, the Pleiades are young girls who fled from a bear, saved by the Great Spirit lifting them into the sky. In Japan, the cluster is called Subaru, meaning to gather together. In Egypt, the Pleiades were sacred to Hathor, goddess of the afterlife and rebirth. Astonishingly, even cultures with no known contact, like the Aboriginal Australians, had ancient myths referring to the Seven Sisters escaping a male pursuer. Across continents, separated by tens of thousands of years, the stories echo. It's as if the Pleiades were not just stars, but markers of something profound in human memory: an origin, a home, a bond waiting to be rediscovered. Maybe our ancestors weren't simply telling stories about the sky, maybe they were telling us where we came from and where, someday, we might return. Among those who study extraterrestrial contact, few beings are described with as much reverence as the Pleiadians. Said to originate from the Taygeta star system within the Pleiades cluster, the Pleiadians are often depicted as tall, radiant, and almost impossibly beautiful, resembling idealized versions of humanity itself. Their appearance is familiar: fair skin, often light hair, piercing blue or green eyes. But it's not just their form that captivates, it's their presence. Pleiadians are believed to have evolved millions of years ahead of humanity, both technologically and spiritually. Where humanity often struggles with conflict and division, the Pleiadians are said to have achieved a society based on harmony, telepathic communication, and a profound connection to all living things. They are not described as conquerors or colonizers. Instead, they are seen as watchers, cosmic siblings, whose mission is one of quiet assistance rather than dominance. Their philosophy reportedly echoes something like a prime directive: to allow younger civilizations to find their own path, intervening only with the subtlest of nudges when absolutely necessary. According to contact accounts, the Pleiadians see humanity not as inferior, but as family. Younger kin, struggling through the fires of adolescence on the way toward our true potential. Some even claim that the Pleiadians seeded aspects of human consciousness in ancient times, a gift placed gently into the collective soul of the species. If true, it would mean that when we look toward the Pleiades, we are not just looking at stars, we are looking into a mirror, reflecting who we might yet become. Long before modern telescopes or science fiction, humanity spoke of visitors from the stars, not as myth, but as memory. Among the Hopi people of North America, tales are told of the Kachinas, powerful, benevolent sky people who descended to Earth to guide humanity through times of darkness. These beings taught sacred knowledge, agriculture, healing, and cosmic laws before returning to the stars, promising one day to return. In Sumerian mythology, some of humanity's oldest recorded stories, there are hints of beings from the 7 dots in the sky, who imparted wisdom and technology that transformed early civilizations. The Maori of New Zealand tell of Matariki, the Pleiades, as a sign of renewal and cosmic communication, a direct link to celestial ancestors. Across countless cultures, these beings are described similarly: tall, radiant, deeply compassionate, and often associated with the 7 sister stars. Not gods in the traditional sense, but teachers. caretakers. It's a pattern too consistent to ignore. It suggests not fantasy, but shared memory, fragments of real encounters echoing across the ages. Modern researchers speculate that ancient peoples may have had direct or semi-direct interactions with Pleiadian visitors, moments that became mythologized into stories of divine beings descending from the heavens. Perhaps, long ago, we did not imagine the sky people. Perhaps, we simply remembered them. What if the fingerprints of an ancient encounter were not only written in stone and myth, but hidden within ourselves? Some researchers and experiencers suggest that the Pleiadians did more than visit humanity in the distant past. They altered us, enhanced us, guided the leap from primitive hominids to the consciousness-bearing species we are today. Mainstream science acknowledges a mystery. Around 200,000 years ago, Homo sapiens appeared suddenly in the fossil record, with no clear evolutionary bridge explaining our rapid emergence. This great leap forward, with the sudden appearance of language, abstract thought, and complex tools, remains one of anthropology's greatest enigmas. Adding to the mystery, modern geneticists have found strange anomalies within human DNA. Large portions of so-called junk DNA appear inert, yet some sequences are oddly structured, almost as if inserted with intention rather than by natural mutation. The Pleiadian theory proposes that early humans were seeded with subtle genetic upgrades, enhancements designed not to dominate, but to awaken latent potential, creativity, empathy, and self-awareness. Could our longing for the stars, our sense of destiny beyond this world, be embedded deep within our very biology? If true, it would mean that our evolution was not purely random. It was guided, a quiet, patient project by a civilization who saw in us the reflection of themselves. We are not just children of Earth. We are children of the stars. Not all connections to the Pleiadians are ancient. Some believe the bond is alive right now, pulsing within countless individuals across the Earth. They call themselves star seeds. The theory suggests that certain souls have reincarnated here from other worlds, especially from the Pleiades, with a purpose: to assist humanity's evolution from within. Starseeds often report a feeling of profound disconnection from mainstream society, a yearning for the stars, a quiet certainty that they are different, even from childhood. Many experience vivid dreams of flying through cosmic landscapes, hearing distant voices calling them home. Traits often attributed to Pleiadian starseeds include deep empathy and sensitivity, an innate rejection of violence, hierarchy, and deception, a longing for peace, unity, and the exploration of higher consciousness, an intuitive grasp of healing, energy work, or creative expression. Psychologists might call it a coping mechanism for feeling alienated in a chaotic world. But for those who feel it, the sense of mission is unmistakable. Some even claim to receive telepathic messages or downloads of knowledge they couldn't have learned through ordinary means. Flashes of scientific, artistic, or spiritual insight that feel almost given rather than earned. If starseeds are real, it means the Pleiadian connection is not a relic of the past. It's a living legacy, breathing through us, waiting for the right moment to awaken fully. And perhaps that moment is drawing closer. If the Pleiadians influenced ancient humanity, could they have left clues in stone, markers that would outlast even memory itself? Across the world, sacred sites show uncanny alignments with the Pleiades star cluster. These are not random coincidences, but deliberate, precise constructions, often requiring astronomical knowledge far beyond what historians believe ancient civilizations possessed. The Great Pyramid of Giza is famously aligned with the constellation of Orion, but lesser known is its indirect correlation to the Pleiades, fitting into broader cosmic patterns involving multiple ancient structures across Egypt. In Central America, the Mayans revered the Pleiades intensely. Their sacred Tzolk'in calendar was said to synchronize with the Pleiades cycles, and key ceremonies were performed when the cluster reached its zenith. The city of Chichen Itza, with its enigmatic El Castillo Pyramid, is thought to have alignments not only with solar phenomena but also with the Pleiades rising during certain seasons. In Japan, the ancient shrine of Subaru, now symbolized by the car company's six-star logo, enshrines the cluster's cultural importance going back millennia. And even in the Americas, ancient ancestral Puebloan sites like Mesa Verde and Chaco Canyon are thought to contain Pleiades-based sightlines. Why this obsession with a seemingly minor star cluster? Why build temples, pyramids, and calendars around these stars? One theory suggests that ancient societies remembered the Pleiadians not merely as myth, but as living memory, and sought to encode that knowledge into Earth's very architecture. In doing so, they left messages, not for their own time, but for a future awakening, a cosmic breadcrumb trail, hidden in plain sight. If humanity was once touched by higher beings from the stars, then echoes of that contact would linger, not just in myth, but in the ruins of lost civilizations. One of the most persistent legends is that of Atlantis, a golden civilization said to have mastered technologies and spiritual sciences far beyond what modern humanity understands. Plato's account speaks of Atlanteans as a hybrid race, part divine, part mortal. Beings whose wisdom built monuments, harnessed energy, and lived in harmony with nature before pride and corruption led to their downfall. Some theorists suggest that the divine aspect of Atlantis's people was not mythological, but literal. Atlanteans may have been Pleiadian human hybrids, the result of careful, deliberate intervention thousands of years ago. Other forgotten cultures, from the Lemurians of the Pacific to ancient India's Vedic civilizations, also left tantalizing clues. Legends of star ancestors, flying ships, vimanas, crystalline cities, and technologies that manipulated gravity and light permeate their histories. What if these were not mere myths, but fractured memories of a time when humanity lived in partial communion with its cosmic kin? If the Pleiadians once walked among us, it would explain the sudden eruptions of knowledge, mathematics, astronomy, and art that seem to appear out of nowhere in the archaeological record. It would also explain why so many of these civilizations describe a devastating fall. Not just physical destruction, but the loss of connection to the stars. The great floods, the fires, the earth-shattering disasters, perhaps they were not just natural events, but cosmic resets. Pauses in a longer hidden story. And now, thousands of years later, we stand at the threshold of remembering. If contact with Pleiadian beings is more than ancient myth, if it continued into modern times, then someone, somewhere, must know. Some whistleblowers, retired military officers, and former intelligence analysts claim they do, and they suggest that governments have known about extraterrestrial presence, including benevolent, Nordic-like beings, for decades. Former NATO intelligence officer Bob Dean spoke publicly about classified reports describing encounters with human-looking extraterrestrials, tall, blonde, blue-eyed beings resembling mythic descriptions of the Pleiadians. Similarly, documents released under the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, hint at meetings, warnings, and even offers of assistance from unknown Nordic entities. Why would such beings contact governments rather than individuals? According to some accounts, Pleiadians attempted diplomatic approaches in the mid-20th century, offering help, spiritual advancement, free energy technology, ecological preservation, but under one strict condition: humanity had to abandon nuclear weapons and its path of self-destruction. The offer was reportedly rejected. Fear, mistrust, and the pursuit of power won over enlightenment. Since then, encounters have gone underground, shielded by layers of secrecy, misinformation, and ridicule. Witnesses describing encounters with radiant, human-like visitors were often marginalized, discredited, or silenced. But the pattern persists. Beings appearing not with threats or invasions, but with gentle warnings, reminders, and an invitation to rise above our destructive nature. If true, it begs the question, have we been offered salvation and refused it? And if so, Are they still watching, still hoping, from just beyond our reach? If the Pleiadians are still reaching out to us, they do so not through grand displays or open landings, but through the quiet corridors of the mind. Unlike other alleged extraterrestrial species associated with abductions or manipulation, the Pleiadians are said to favor telepathic communication, a method that respects human free will while planting seeds of awareness for those ready to listen. Contactees and experiencers often describe the sensation as a gentle knowing rather than a voice, a sudden clarity in thought, a dream that feels more real than waking life, a subtle push toward a new path, creative, spiritual, or healing. A wave of emotion, often deep love, accompanied by visions of distant star fields. Sometimes it begins with synchronicities, repeated numbers, unexpected encounters, messages hidden in music, books, or conversations, as if the universe itself is conspiring to open a door. Those who experience Pleiadian telepathic contact often report that it is non-invasive and that personal growth is always respected. The communication is described as uplifting, compassionate, and expansive, never commanding or fearful. Skeptics might call it imagination, the subconscious speaking to itself. But the consistency across cultures, languages, and individual experiences hints at something more. It's said that the Pleiadians prefer this method because it prepares humanity slowly, guiding from within rather than imposing from without. In the end, it is not about being shown the truth. It's about remembering it. Something is changing. In recent years, governments, military insiders, and mainstream media have begun to acknowledge what was once ridiculed, that we are not alone, that unknown aerial phenomena, craft that defy known physics, are real. This slow unraveling of secrecy is often called disclosure, and for those who believe in the Pleiadians, it is no accident. Many experiencers and researchers suggest that benevolent extraterrestrials like the Pleiadians are subtly preparing humanity for an inevitable reunion with the broader cosmic community, not by force, not by spectacle, but by letting us discover it ourselves, step by step. If we were to be confronted suddenly with open contact, mass panic could follow. Religious, political, and economic systems could collapse under the strain of such a reality. But if awareness grows gradually, seeded through culture, science, dreams, and curiosity, we might meet our star ancestors as equals, not as fearful children. This shift isn't only external, it's internal. It's a movement toward higher consciousness, compassion over conflict, unity over division, understanding over ignorance. And the Pleiadians, it is said, are waiting, watching, hoping, not for a savior moment, but for a threshold event, when enough of humanity chooses love over fear, curiosity over denial. Only then, according to the quiet whisper of cosmic memory, will we be ready. And only then might the stars answer us openly, without hesitation. Those who claim contact with the Pleiadians report a recurring, urgent message, a warning, yes, but also an invitation. The Pleiadians do not come to dominate, nor to intervene dramatically. They come bearing a simple truth. Humanity stands at a crossroads. One path leads to self-destruction, environmental collapse, endless war, technological enslavement. The other leads to awakening, a civilization reborn through unity, stewardship, and the pursuit of higher consciousness. In communications both subtle and direct, the message is clear. Honor the Earth. Recognize the planet not as a resource, but as a living being. Transcend fear. Abandon systems built on control, violence, and separation. Awaken inner light. Develop intuition, empathy, creativity, and connection to all life. Reject artificial power structures. Move toward decentralized, compassionate societies that value truth over dominance. If humanity fails to evolve, It risks not just its own extinction, but destabilizing larger cosmic ecosystems interconnected by consciousness and energy. In this view, Earth is not isolated. It is part of a grand, delicate web, and the actions of one species ripple outward across realities unseen. Pleiadian messages are not delivered with anger, threats, or ultimatums. They are given with deep sadness and deep hope. The time of waiting is nearly over. The choice, whether to rise into a new future or fall into ruin, remains ours alone, but not without guidance, not without love. No exploration of the Pleiadian mystery would be complete without acknowledging the debate. Skeptics argue that belief in Pleiadians, and in benevolent extraterrestrials generally, is wishful thinking. They point to psychology, a need for cosmic parents in a chaotic, often lonely universe, a projection of humanity's highest ideals onto imagined beings, a mythological echo, not literal fact. After all, they argue, where is the undeniable, tangible proof? Photos, artifacts, verifiable scientific evidence? And they are right to ask. Healthy skepticism protects truth from fantasy. It sharpens discernment. But the believers counter with a different kind of evidence. The cross-cultural stories that predate organized religion. The sudden explosions of knowledge in ancient times. The deep consistency of contact experiences across individuals separated by continents and generations. They point to the growing body of declassified documents, hinting at encounters. They highlight the mysteries within our own DNA, the unexplainable rapid jumps in human cognitive development. And they ask, is it really more rational to believe that thousands of witnesses, cultures, and independent experiencers are all imagining the same essential beings? Or is it possible that there is a real, quiet truth, hidden not because it is fantastical, but because it is profound? In the end, belief is not demanded. Faith is not required. Only openness. The willingness to say, maybe. Maybe there is more to the human story than we have dared to imagine. For some, the Pleiadian connection is not an abstract theory. It is a feeling etched into the soul. Many who resonate with the Pleiadian energy describe a strange, persistent sense of not fully belonging to modern Earth life, a subtle homesickness for a place they have never seen, a quiet certainty that they are here on a mission, even if they cannot name it. Common signs of possible Pleiadian ties include a deep fascination with the stars, especially the Pleiades cluster, often since early childhood. An innate rejection of violence, cruelty, and dishonesty, even before social conditioning sets in. A natural affinity for healing arts, creativity, and communication, as if remembering forgotten skills. Dreams of flying, floating cities, or luminous landscapes far beyond Earth's terrain. Heightened sensitivity to emotions, energies, and environmental shifts. Moments of profound sadness or longing that cannot be traced to any earthly cause. An intuitive knowing that love, not fear, is the fundamental truth of existence. These traits alone do not prove Pleiadian heritage, but they may suggest a deeper connection, a soul lineage, an echo of a journey begun among the stars. For those who feel this resonance, the awakening process often unfolds gradually, through dreams, synchronicities, and a slow remembering that humanity is far more ancient and far more cosmic than it appears. And perhaps within that remembering lies the key not only to personal purpose, but to humanity's collective future. If the Pleiadians truly have a hand in humanity's journey, then their role today is not one of rulers, invaders, or saviors. It is something quieter, something deeper. Guardianship. Many experiencers and researchers suggest that the Pleiadians are watching humanity's evolution from a distance, patiently, respectfully, without direct interference. They are not here to solve our problems for us. They are here to support, to guide invisibly, and to intervene only when absolutely necessary to preserve cosmic balance. Their presence, it is said, is felt in subtle ways. In the sudden surge of global movements for compassion, peace, and environmental stewardship. In the rise of individuals and communities pushing for consciousness expansion, alternative healing, and new ways of living. In moments of inspiration, breakthroughs in art, technology, and philosophy that seem to come from beyond ourselves. It is as though humanity is being gently nudged toward remembering what was forgotten long ago, that we are not merely biological machines living on a random rock in space. We are star-born beings, part of a vast, interconnected universe alive with consciousness and meaning. The quiet guardianship theory suggests that the Pleiadians walk beside us, unseen, until the day when humanity, by its own choice, steps into maturity. Not forced, not coerced, but chosen. When enough of us awaken, the guardians may finally step forward, not as gods descending from the sky, but as brothers and sisters welcoming us home. When we gaze up at the night sky and find our eyes drawn, again and again, to the shimmering seven sisters, maybe it's not just beauty that calls to us. Maybe it's memory, not memory of facts and dates, but of belonging, of connection. The Pleiadian story, whether seen as myth, mystery, or reality, invites us to rethink everything we assume about our place in the cosmos. It reminds us that evolution is not just biological, it is spiritual, it is relational. We are not isolated creatures, alone in a cold universe. We are the children of stars, the inheritors of ancient bonds stretching across time and space, the seeds of something vaster, something luminous, waiting to bloom. Perhaps the stories of Pleiadians, whispered through dreams, encoded in myths, and hidden in the bones of ancient temples, are not legends at all. Perhaps they are invitations. Invitations to remember who we are. Invitations to choose compassion over fear, unity over division, wonder over cynicism. Perhaps the family we have longed for, the guidance, the homecoming, has always been above us, shining softly through the veil of forgetfulness, waiting for us not to reach them through technology or conquest, but to meet them halfway through heart, spirit, and awakening. When that moment comes, when we remember, the stars will not seem so far away after all. We will realize they were never strangers, they were family, and the sky was never empty. It was always waiting.